guys, welcome back. It's me, Becca. Making this for future reference. I was looking through my videos today on liquid soap making, and I've been spending several hours sorting through some of my recipes. I thought I had saved the one that I've been using that I like the best. Apparently I did not. We are making some small batches of the recipes that I do have on hand and seeing which one is the one that I remember liking. And I will probably remember a little bit more along the way once I start doing this again. I have a bottle set aside of some liquid body shower gel, but for whatever reason, I don't trust that I put the right recipe with that, even though it is attached to the bottle. So I've been super busy with here, there, and other things with Waylon and things like that. So here we are today. We're making liquid soap. And this is Becca's shower gel formula listing. I put it in my soapy calculator and saved it. And hopefully I will put the notes from today about it. So we're doing just a small recipe. We're doing an 8-ounce recipe. It is, as I'm looking, because I don't always read these recipes like I do the other ones. Let me see. Okay, so we've got sunflower oil at 20%, coconut oil at 50%. You can use lard or beef tallow at 10%, and olive oil pomace at 20%. So we are adding to that 2 ounces of glycerin for moisture and thickness, and so it will dissolve easier later on when we dilute it down. We are using, and in my other part I have 2 ounces of distilled water, and this has 0.40 ounces of cane sugar dissolved and 0.64 ounces of sea salt dissolved. And so I've got that set aside. I've got my goat milk, which is a half a tablespoon of concentrated powder set aside with just a little bit of distilled water. I have some xanthan gum as a thickener, which I'm going to add some distilled water to a little bit later in the process. And I have my 35% distilled water that I'm going to be adding to this in the end to dilute it. That is 4.73 ounces of distilled water. This is a 35% dilution, if I did my calculations correct. And we also have 1 teaspoon of citric acid. Citric acid is a pH, it lowers the pH. It also is a thickener and a preservative. It's a natural preservative. I have a teaspoon of borax in here as a natural thickener and natural preservative. Since we are adding water to this soap, I don't trust that this long term would be enough to preserve it, even though people say it is a natural preservative from the readings that I've done. I am going to be adding a actual preservative to it, just to make sure there's no mold or fungus or things like that. I haven't had any issues with all the shower gels and body washes that I've made prior. Just to show you, here is one that I've got stored away in my distilled water bottle that I'm still working my way through. And this has a preservative in it, and there's been no issues with it. So I've got my crock pot on high, and we're shooting for, we're at 140 degrees right now, and we want it to be just so that the oils are melted and not too hot. So 200 degrees is a really good temperature to do your liquid soaps at. Any higher than that, and I noticed there is a discoloration in your soap. As I showed you, the previous bottle was a nice light creamy color. If you're adding sugar or honey or anything like that to your liquid soaps at the higher temperatures, you're going to get more of a caramel brown color, and we're not aiming for that. We want that nice lighter creamy color. So this is a dual lye soap, like our shave soaps that we have in our shop. Sorry, I'm not popping out here. It is a dual lye soap. It has the KOH liquid soap, and that is at 70%, and our NaOH soap lye at 30%. So we're mixing those percentages together, and I'm going to do that right now because there's everything I have is ready. And I was looking all over for my crock pot, and I'm such a goober. It was like right here on my countertop. I was like, what are you doing, you crazy woman? So anyway, we've got, this is my water with my sugar in it and my salt, and I'm going to add my KOH. Ooh. KOH, where are you? KOH. It's on the side. Yes. Here it is. KOH. 1.36 ounces. We're going to be very specific. 1.36. We're going to go really slow. This is going to bubble up. It's going to get really, really hot. And the gloves and the glasses. We're just going to slowly stir this. Ooh, we have chemical reaction. Very slowly stirring. Now I do have sugar in here, so I'm probably heating it up more than I wanted to. This is a test batch, so we're gonna go with it. Probably should have added my sugar later. Anywho, okay. So there's that. Now we're gonna add our lye at 37 ounces, so 0.37 ounces. Oh, I need to turn it. 37. Okay, we're there. Like I said, super small batch. Pretty sure I got some granules on my countertop, so I'm just going to wipe them up with a So we are dissolving that. Looks good. Looks like our oils are melted and our temperature is 166, 170. I'm going to call that good. So this is a hot fluid process soap that I'm making. Normally I think it takes me 30 minutes to get it done, an hour to get it clear. Normally it can take 3 or more hours if it's not configured just right. This does have a discount in the water as well. I'm working with 33% water instead of the 38 that you would normally do. So I have a discounted water to make a thicker soap, and if I need to thin it out, I can. So here we go. We are going to pour that in. Hot lye. And to our oils. I want to get all of that goodness in there because that's what's going to make the soap. Alright, so that's going to go in the sink. So, let's see if I can show you what it looks like. stirring it around. I'm not sure if I need my zip stick for this. I might get, it's really shallow, so it's not going to zip it like I want it to. I think what I'm going to grab is, what have I got? Oh yeah, we got some good stuff here. We got a whisk. And so we want to emulsify it a little bit. But again, it's a lot harder to do really small batches like this, just because getting the stick in there, it can splash around and be highly dangerous and burn you. So I'm going to do it a little bit more old-fashioned and emulsify it with my whisk. So we're going to be cooking this soap until we get like an applesauce, mashed potatoy stage, and it will turn to a gel phase as well. I don't know if you'll be able to see all the stages. Move some things around. Later, this I need to add water to. Is that a little better? I don't know if I can quite get my computer up high enough. So it's about 325. I should be able to get this cooked in half an hour. And you do want to test it. I don't know if I put my pH test strips over here. I did. Okay. So, I got these off of Amazon or eBay, probably eBay. These are my pH 1 to 14 indicator pH test strips. And so what you're testing for later on, once it's fully cooked, is to make sure you're at least at a neutral 7, possibly more towards the 6 is what I would prefer. It does turn to usually more towards a 6 but if it is anywhere in the brown or black, it is not done cooking, and the lye needs to finish cooking your soap. So it's always good to remember that. I don't know, I think I have like 10 recipes that I've tried out in the past, or maybe I haven't quite tried them all. I honestly don't remember. I know I tried many of them, several of them. And I was trying to figure out which one I liked the best. So I may just be doing a little batch of each one. Kind of wish I had like 5 crock pots going so I could get them all done at once. I get like 5 of them tested and be like, I like this one, I like this one, I like that one. So when you're diluting your liquid soap from a paste, you really want to do at least generally 50%, but some reason, depending on if there's more liquid oils, I think you can do a lower percentage, because the liquid oils makes it more liquidy, so you can get away with doing a smaller percentage dilution. When it's more of your butters and your heavy fats, you really want to dilute at 40 to 50% or more once it's finished cooking and made a paste. Otherwise, it'll still be a paste and not be fully diluted. So there's a lot of little tips and tricks to making liquid soap. I did put it in my videos before. There's a book called Ultimate Guide to Liquid Soap Making, and I think it's by Ashley Green. I'll put the link down below afterwards. Her book is 500 pages of amazing information. I've never seen anything else compiled like it. It's many, many years of her dedication and work, and not just her own work, but other things that she's worked with others or studied. And so everything is copyrighted, so I can't actually talk about her recipes in the videos that I've done online on YouTube. But I think I purchased her book on sale. I thought she had some kind of special going, and I probably got it for $30 instead of the. I'm not sure what it's going for right now. It could be $40 or more. I think I spent like 30, and it was worth every bit of knowledge. So I think I also did another video on another liquid soap making book where I found the information very helpful, and I found it as a used book on Amazon. And I did a couple of recipes from that as well. So basically the reason why you're adding any kind of sugar or honey is to thicken it and make it more bubbly. And the reason why you would add a type of a thickener is liquid soaps are always on the thin side, it seems like. It's really hard to make one that's thick all by itself with just the oils and making it the right bubble and the right moisture. I kind of did a lot of recipes, and I felt like you kind of almost have to have some type of thickener. I liked the agar that I was using before, but I feel like the xanthan would be a little bit better. So we're going to try the xanthan this time and see how that works out. And for your goat milk, any kind of milks, you always want to add that at the end of your cook, because you don't want to burn it again. So the sugar, if you keep your temperature under 200, it's not going to burn, and we're at 170, which is a really good temperature. I still have my crock pot on high. What else? I think that's probably the best information I can give out. I believe this is my recipe. I don't think this is actually anybody's recipe. I've tweaked this one from a bunch of ones that I've tried. And so we're going to try this one again and see if I still like it. And if not, I'm going to try the next one that I thought I liked. So it's still kind of just really liquidy. It's cooking. If it was at a higher temperature, it would cook a little bit faster. Don't know how much this is going to work if I grab this. Scale. See if I can get this going a little bit more here. Really low. Probably would have needed to do at least a 12-ounce recipe to kind of emerge this a little bit more. It's really not even up to the top of those, so. If I go on low, it seems to be okay. Just be really, really cautious. Looks like it is speeding up the process a little bit. Getting thicker. Okay, so I did get it emulsified. Just gonna keep stirring it with my silicone spatula. Oh, I don't think I mentioned it, but so you can use anywhere from 1% to 5% of your oil weight for your recipe. So this is an 8-ounce recipe, and I'm using 5% sugar. And for your salt, you can use anywhere from 1 to 8%. I find 8% works really well, so I use the 8% salt based on an 8-ounce oil recipe. And our goat milk is at 4%. Anything else? I think that's pretty good. So the reason why you make a dual lye liquid soap like this, it's just easier to make it more fluid, the whole process. It makes it easier to dilute it down, so it's the soap and the liquid soap. If you want it super liquidy and runny, you could use just the KOH and make a really nice liquid soap. I think it would be a little bit harder to thicken to make it more of like a shower gel consistency. I know I've tried several different percentages as well, and this seemed to be a really good percentage, the 30-70. Probably got about another 15 minutes of cooking, stirring. We're still at a nice light color. My sugars haven't browned or caramelized. We're at 189 degrees, still on high, and this is still a really nice fluid soap. I know some of the recipes out there that people have done end up with like this really thick paste, and it becomes like a process just to try and dilute it down. Some tips and tricks for diluting down a really thick paste soap into a liquid soap is adding your alcohol, your rubbing alcohol. So your 71 to 91% rubbing alcohol, the alcohol breaks up the paste and helps it dilute a little bit faster. So if you find that you have a recipe that you're like, it's taking me hours to make this, and I have this big, thick, honking rock of a paste, and you're waiting like sometimes 3 days for it to dilute down in your crock pot, make sure you add, add an ounce at a time of your rubbing alcohol. And if you have to, try and break up the clumps with either your spatula, or if you can get your stick blender in there at some point, try and blend it up and break it up a little bit better so it'll dilute a little bit faster. I really like the hot process fluid method that Ashley Green has, because it becomes a really quick process, and it's a process that stays fluid the whole time, and it doesn't become some rock hard candy paste that you're trying to dilute down. And you can have it ready in a day, in just literally a couple of hours. So that's the best part about her recipes and her knowledge in her book. I still haven't added my glycerin or my milk or my thickener. So we're waiting for this to really kind of cook down first before I add all of that. And we want the lye to finish turning all of these fats and oils into soap. So another thing she talks about, I forgot to mention, I think earlier, was the super fat. A lot of people like to keep their super fat at 0 and then maybe add a little bit of like a 1% super fat at the end of some really luxurious oils like jojoba or apricot or even sunflower oil. I worry about free-floating oils because I do, and I actually do mine at a super fat of 2%. I think she says, don't quote me on this, I think she says you can go up to 3% super fat on a liquid soap, but you don't want to go any higher than that because it can cause separation, I think, and rancidity, I believe is what that is. So you want to stick between the 0 to 2 to 3% super fat range if you're doing it all up front and not at the end. And I think you're supposed to do closer to the 1% if you're adding your super fat at the end. Hope that makes sense. If anybody has any comments, put them down below. I will put the recipe for this with this video when I post it to my YouTube channel, so I'm not rummaging through my 3-ring binder and then my files on my internet. I've been organizing other areas of the house. So once you do finish this and then you add your dilution to it, you want to wait about, let me see, I think it's at least 72 hours to let it sequester and cure. And so any bit of cloudiness that might be showing up in the first 72 hours should disappear after that, up to, some people like to cure theirs for a whole week, with just, it'll sit and become a really nice clear soap. Depending on your oils and fats that you use, you should have a nice clear soap by the end of 72 hours up to a week. So it's starting to thicken up a little bit and stick to the sides. I don't know if you can tell. Thicker. Still feels like it's like in the applesauce stage. So we've got probably another 7 minutes or so of cooking before I add anything else. I'm just gonna add the cover to it. Let it sit. I add a little bit of water to my xanthan, which is over here. So I don't want to add extra water. This is the water that I'm going to be adding to reconstitute, I'm going to add some of that to my xanthan. That way I'm not adding extra water, and if I need to, I can, but I'm going to start with not adding anything extra than what I've measured out. This was a half a tablespoon, and it is taking pretty much all my water out. That's okay. See how it works out. Bubbling up here, so I'm going to stir this down. Trying to remain around 200. We're at 203. We're starting to bubble up. It looks very much a little bit of separation happening. So this is applesauce. We want it to be at the mashed potato stage. I'm going to take my stick blender and go on low. So I got that re-emulsified. We're working towards mashed potatoes. A few more minutes to go. We're still at 203. Just as a safety precaution, don't walk away from your crock pot, especially if you're doing a much larger batch, it could volcano up from the heat cooking and bubble up and over. So you always want to be nearby so you can stir it down or unplug it or shut it off and stir it down. So try to be cautious with that. So we're still waiting for, I need to add my glycerin in as well. I'm going to actually add my glycerin now. So we're at 212. It actually heated up a little bit more when I did that. So got the lye is cooking up on that still. Went back to an applesauce stage again. Alright. We'll get there. We're still on high. I'm going to add my xanthan. That way I can stick blend it in. Just to give you a look-see, it is separated with the glycerin. So we're going to bring all of that back to an emulsification. It's making a creamy paste right now. I'm probably going to need to add more water. I know there's a formula to do the percentage of the dilution, and I don't have the, I don't think I have Excel on my computer, so is a specific formula for that, and I don't remember how to do it by hand. I'd have to go through my notes. I'm sure I wrote it down somewhere. So I'm going to just get this in here, and we're definitely, this is more of a creamy paste right now, and we need to dilute that down. Half of 13 is, half 12 is 6. And so 6.5, so I did 4, so 5, so I need like another ounce and a half. I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. Add that in. Alright, got our battery plugged in. Added, I'm gonna write that down. Ounce and a half. .5 ounces, which I don't think is quite enough. I mean, I have a little bit of goat milk, but that's not enough. So we're going to only add another ounce. An ounce and a half. That's 8 ounces. Getting there. I think, because I've been bubbling it up, I'm gonna grab me some rubbing alcohol to clear it up. So I'll be right back. Well, I can show you what's gonna happen here. So see those bubbles? You can spray them down and they'll dissipate with the rubbing alcohol. I think this is 71%. And you can always add. I don't know which one I'm plugging. I guess we'll plug the bottom. The other one. I'm gonna add probably an ounce of rubbing alcohol. adding an ounce of rubbing alcohol to help break up any paste that's going on. And the alcohol will cook off. It won't be in the final product. It will dissipate and no longer be there. So that looks a lot better. See if we can get that to cook down a little bit. Rubbing alcohol. And then I've got my milk I'm going to add last. So we started this 40 minutes ago. As it cools down, this is going to thicken up. I mean, it looks pretty thin right now, but as it cools down, it will thicken up and it will clear up. So we can test to see if it's finished cooking, because you definitely want to make sure it's done cooking before you add any kind of milk. Give it a good stir around, make sure everything's blended real good. And I'm going to get my pH paper. And I'm just going to add a little bit of water to help dilute it a little more. Another stirry stir. I'm going to check to see if it's fully cooked. So I'm just going to stir that into my water really good. And I'm going to take my pH test strip, give it a dip, and show you that we are in between a 7 and an 8 right now. So it still has some active lye in it. We're going to keep cooking it for about another 10 minutes. But we're almost there. Sorry, probably holding this in front of your faces. I'm ambidextrous, so I forget these things. So don't always grab everything with my right hand. I apologize. Don't see any paste lumps. You can kind of check through if there's any kind of like chunkiness. It usually means this is actually stuck on my spatula, but if there's any chunks in there, you're probably going to want to add a little bit more water to get it all diluted down. You don't want any paste soap chunks in your soap. It means it's not fully diluted enough, and there's still some lovely soap paste in there. So I do have about 10 more minutes left. I'm going to actually add my milk now and finish the cook with the milk, goat milk. You could add yogurt, you could add any kind of milk you want, coconut milk, almond milk, cow's milk. We are still at, well, we've cooled down. It's about 144. That's a good sign that the lye is finishing its cooking process. If it was still heating up above 200 degrees, I would say the lye isn't finished cooking. Because I haven't changed my temperature at all on my crock pot. I've been at a high temperature the whole time, and I can turn it down to a low right now. Since I'm already in that 7 to 8 point range of my pH, I'm going to let this cook at a little bit lower temperature. Just kind of finish off the cook. Oh, you saved me a cookie. Thank you. To make some more, they were really good, huh? So once this finishes its cook, I will leave it in the crock pot, turned off, and let the whole thing just cool down in here. And if it needs more water at any point after it's cooled down because of evaporation, you can just add a little bit more to it. And then pour it in your bottle. And once it's room temperature, that's when you can add your final preservative. And I think I said 1%. You want to add 1% of your preservative. So 1% ends up being the total weight of your whole soap, not just your soap paste recipe. So this was an 8-ounce soap paste recipe. You want to make sure whatever the full weight is, you can weigh out your soap by pouring it in another container and then figuring out 1% of that and adding your final preservative. Jamal Plus is a really good one. I like to use that one. I think there's another one, if that one's not available. I think it's like, I'll have to check my rack over here. I've got Jamal Plus. That's the only one I have. If you go on to Wholesale Supplies Plus, they should have other preservatives there. Just read the MDSs on them to make sure that it's something to use for the body care products, and it should give you the information you're looking for. Because you're looking for water-based products that you're trying to add a preservative to, and I think it's like a benzoate something. I can't quite remember the name of it. Was it on this in this bottle? No, I've been using Jamal Plus. I can't remember the other name of the other one, but it's on wholesalesuppliesplus.com. That's where I get a lot of my ingredients, as well as Essential Depot and Nurture Soap Company, or is it nurturesoapcompany.com. Those are kind of my top 3 suppliers. The 4th one I really like is Aztec Candles. And your good old grocery store has really good prices if stuff is in stock. I know the past 2 years it's been a little crazy trying to find sunflower oil and olive oil and a few of the other oils I like to get from there. So Amazon sometimes has some good prices for your sunflower oil in bulk. Yeah, just kind of check online and see what you can find for a good price. We're getting there, y'all. We're getting there. I'm stirring this and making bubbles, so I'm going to give it a spray down to dissipate those bubbles. So we're at 50 minutes into the cook. You could, depending on how much of a batch, you know, I try to do like just a 1 pound recipe usually. It makes actually a lot of liquid soap or body gel at one time. If I need to make a bigger batch, I can, but I can make up to a pound in this little crock here. I forget what size this one is. But this one works out pretty good for that. Oh, I thought I had to sneeze. It is coming. Woo, nope. It's gone. Alright. So it's definitely starting to clear up. I mean, there's a lot of bubbles because I emulsified it and got it stirred up. But if you can see, can you tell? Underneath there's a creamy tan soap. See? Under the bubbles. There's a layer of bubbles and then there's a layer of soft, luscious taffy looking liquid soap. So we're just finishing up the cook on that. Let's see if I can grab another one. I'll show you what the pH is right now. You can tell it's actually probably don't have the other one. I tossed it already. It is already more towards the 7, and that's pretty much done. It will continue to keep cooking off any extra lye at this point. Once you've reached your neutral pH, I would leave this on low probably for 5 more minutes, and then I will shut it off completely and just leave it be and come back to it in like an hour or so. And I'll more than likely take my whole pot out of here. So we'll probably give this a few more minutes. We're going to have some evaporation, so I'm just going to add this water back in. I think that ended up being good. So this ended up being an 8-ounce paste recipe. The total batch weight, just making the paste, was 13.5 ounces. I added 8 ounces of water, which included my 2 ounces of glycerin. So technically 6 ounces of water, 2 ounces of glycerin, 1 ounce of rubbing alcohol. I think I did that right. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's looking good, y'all. Looking good. I have like a glass here. I can show you what it looks like if I pour some in the glass. Well, this is not exactly clear glass. It's not clear. So you're still going to let this cool down. mostly putting foamy bubbles in here. Sorry. Pretty hot. Spatula. That way I can show you the color of the soap. It will still sequester, and this will clear up. So this has milk in it, and it's still going to sequester over the next 72 hours to a week, and then you will get something that will be much more clear. So it will go from this to this in the next 72 hours. So I'm just going to put you back in here with your buddies. There will be a little bit of evaporation, and so you want to check in the next couple hours once it comes down to room temperature if it needs any more water, and then you can also add your preservative at that point. Okay, let's shut that off. That's off. Things off. I'm going to leave it like that probably for a half hour, and then I'll come back and I'll just take the pot out. Alright, y'all. Hope that was helpful for anybody out there. Certainly was helpful for me as a refresher. I will be adding this to my playlist of liquid soap making. Again, this recipe was my shower gel formula, and I'll probably show you on Instagram later on at BeccasByTheBay what the final product looks like. So head on over and check that out. If you're not already following me on Instagram, I post lots of things about gardening, soaping, and some spirituality and meditation stuff.